Good morning, Year 10. It's Mr. Sutton here. I'm going to do a fairly quick one today. It's going to build kind of on stuff that you're going to need to do for your Unit 1, but also harks back to stuff that we've done previously, but it is an important skill that you're going to need for your exam as well. And it even is a little bit of the theory that we will miss out on because it's Bank Holiday Monday. Yes, so don't forget, it is Bank Holiday Monday, so you're missing a lesson with me. I can almost hear the cries of pain and anguish as I say this. But what am I going to ask you to do today? Well, it's going to be product analysis. Now, this is the comparing products one. So it is product analysis, but it's that old new bits and pieces trying to get you to think about aesthetics and all those other aspects of the specification and considering advantages and disadvantages of new and old products. If you remember, we did this previously in the lesson, and I got you to do this one. Should be really familiar, where we had a look at a modern robotic automated vacuum cleaner, and we had one from the 1970s, and we discussed both the differences and the similarities, plus the advantages and disadvantages of each, because don't fall into the usual presumption that the continuing advance of technology means everything that's brand new is always better than what went before, because as we've discussed with the vacuum cleaner, this one's wonderful, automated, but yeah, it can't discriminate between what's it's sort of cleaning up. It's not very good with stairs, it needs constantly emptying, they're very, very expensive to buy. I could go on. We also spoke as well about the Sony Walkman versus the modern kind of iPod shuffly type bits and pieces. I mean, this one, great bit of kit for its day. Personal sort of stereo, first time people had personal music on the move. Some really good advantages of that one, in that, well, it was difficult to come up with the advantages over the modern, I'll give you that one. But aesthetically it was quite interesting, it was quite nice and retro, it was more physical music, you didn't have to constantly download it, you didn't have to have a subscription. And also you could choose specific tracks and make up your own mixtapes, you name it. Remember, we had these interesting conversations about those, and I'm sure you're probably sat there going, what? No, definitely go for the modern one. I'm sure maybe you're actually right about that. We discussed this, how we actually went through this, and we discussed them with the Access FM bits and pieces. Now, today, I pretty much want you to do the same sort of task. Yes, you've done it in the past, but you should be really good at doing it. I did think about including something which was where we twisted it on its head and we asked you to, or I was going to ask you to write a specification for a product that already exists, but I may keep that little gem for the future. What I'm going to ask you to do is this. I'd like really a couple of different products that you're going to have a look at. We've got two slides here, which are both identical, and I'm just asking you to compare an older and a more modern example of a product. I'm going to leave it down to you to have a look at these ones. I just want you purely to think about the differences, the similarities, the advantages and the disadvantages of each, because if you haven't forgotten those exam questions, there will always be an exam question which specifically targets this product analysis and this old versus new, that type of similarities, distances, advantages, disadvantages, that type of breakdown, that kind of discussion. So it is a skill you've got to build up. Now, you're going to be looking at old versus new. I want you to avoid what we've done in the past. Please don't do the vacuum cleaner. Please don't do the Walkman. We've done it. We've been there. I don't want to see that one again. So please avoid those. Old versus new, we've got phones. You know, I mean, we've got, oh, look at this. An amazing one here. Old versus new, landline, mobile phone. It could be a good starting point. I would hope that you would be a little bit more creative, some of you. It would be really nice to get that from you, if at all possible. Think about computers. You know, old versus new. Interesting if you think of a subcategory of the computer sector. So for example, you do have on here a really nice one where you've got a laptop, first generation laptop. We're talking late 80s, early 90s compared to something more modern. The advantages and disadvantages, it even looks like it looking just there, there's actually even a key that's broken on there. Yeah, are there advantages? I'm sure that you can think of some disadvantages of both. That's what's going to be quite difficult. You could think about cars as well. So I want you to think about old and new. I mean, it's quite nice here. You've got your Porsche back end, front end. What are the differences? I mean, straight away, something I notice in cars, the size. You know, if you think about the new Mini versus the old Mini, that would be an interesting comparison. New versus old Mini. Let's have a look at that. New Mini versus old Mini. Straight away, you're going to get a big difference between those, if not only because there's a dramatic difference in size. I mean, look at that. It just, well, that looks as though it's actually been shrunk down, but it is the real size. And yeah, if you look at old parking spaces, garages, etc., you'll realise that old cars were a lot smaller than the ones we have today. Everything has got bigger in that sense. So you've got things like that. Another good one would be consoles. Old consoles versus new consoles. You get the idea. There's going to be, it's quite a nice, fun little bits and pieces, so you can just try to think about the evolution of products, because really we want you to, that's the key thing. I want you to pick out, it's about looking at a product, thinking about how it's made, what, you know, how it has been developed. I mean, it can be something where you just look at something that's more recent. I mean, you've got the new PlayStation 5 coming out, you've got the PlayStation 4 that's already out. How does it compare to its first iteration going back? You might want to go a little bit further. I mean, the Atari 2006 or 2600 as it's sometimes called, or even the Woody as it is also known, because that's a brilliant one. Let's have a look at that. 2600 games console. It's a really interesting one to have a look at because, well, you can see why it's called the Woody, because it literally is got a wood panel. Well, it's fake wood in some cases. But what is it that made it so good? What advantages does, if anything, does it have over the present day ones? Maybe have a look into it. We're really interested to see how and what you think to comparing the old and the new. So getting it into there. Sorry, previous one. Image, advantage, disadvantage of both, differences. Two different types of products. I don't want to really see, you know, then upload those. We'll have a look. As I've said, not going to have anything for Monday. You've got a whole day off from that one. So I will be coming back to you on Wednesday and having a look through those bits and pieces. We've got quite a few, but not enough really as far as the recent drawing one from Wednesday. We've still got a few people that haven't done that task, and I will be updating the spreadsheet today to say those people that are generally not completing the work. So you have been warned. I have told you a number of times that's what's going to happen, so just be mindful. I might not be chasing you up, but somebody else may well be doing so. Okay, everyone, speak to you soon, and take care. Have a nice bank holiday Monday, and yeah, enjoy the sunshine. Take care.